As Chandler being on one of the biggest TV hits of all time, audiences around the world felt like they knew Matthew Perry. But he was both talented and troubled. Open about his struggles with depression and addiction, which meant his death alone in his jacuzzi in October 2023 was met with both utter shock and a sad sense of the inevitable. Nearly 2 years on, and as those charged over his death are sentenced, not only has what happened exposed Hollywood's underground drug network, it also gives an insight into the world of celebrity, money and power.
You have someone with serious addiction problems, lifelong. And sadly, I think that he was really taken advantage of.
Perry's death was found to be caused by the acute effects of ketamine, dozens of vials of which were found during a raid of the house of Jasveen Sangha, who was known as the Ketamine Queen. She supplied the hit that ultimately killed the actor, which was administered by Perry's personal assistant, Kenneth Iwamasa, who, according to court documents on the day the actor died, injected the Friend star with the final 3 doses of ketamine he'd purchased illegally from Sangha. He'd administered ketamine to Perry 6 to 8 times each day in the days leading up to his death.
I think that it was a situation that increasingly got more and more out of control.
This was some of the cash he used to pay for the ketamine. Perry was vulnerable, but also a huge star worth millions. Iwamasa was administering the injections, ultimately playing God, but to him the power laid with his boss. While his actions may seem inexcusable, did he feel he had a choice?
Personal assistants in this city can be put under an enormous amount of pressure, tasked with doing things many of us wouldn't imagine carrying out for our employers. It is a job that comes with an inherent power imbalance. And Perry's live-in assistant without medical training was allegedly being asked to perform multiple ketamine injections on a regular basis the months before the actor died.
Bonnie Lowe Crayman is a former celebrity assistant turned trainer.
They lived together. It doesn't get more close than that. They were in each other's lives for so many years. My take, it just seems to me it might have been perceived as just another day, just, because of that pattern of Matthew Perry being able to function and do his life and have his career alongside this addiction he had and the depression that he had.
Can it be hard for assistants to actually say no?
100%. When people are rich and famous, they often have people around them who won't say no. And assistants are in the yes business anyway. We're in the business of figuring out, well, let's, solve the problem. When money is no object, there are new rules that apply in that situation, and that can be really hard to handle.
For anyone struggling with addiction, being surrounded by those who are paid to please isn't always ideal.
Treatment is difficult for people when they have yes men. They have a lot of people that are going to tell them, you can get whatever you want, you can get drugs, you can get alcohol, you can do whatever you want, and no one is willing to really look at that from the perspective of how dangerous that is. Matthew Perry came from a traumatic background. He had issues with substance abuse. This is clearly a situation where maybe some oversight would have been a different scenario.
In California, ketamine drips are allowed to be used as pain relief to treat mood disorders and help with addiction. The likes of Chrissy Teigen, Elon Musk and Sharon Osbourne have all spoken about how it's helped them. Perry had been undergoing legal ketamine infusion therapy to treat depression and anxiety, and apparently had been clean in the year or so before the last few weeks of his life. But he'd been administered somewhere between 18 to 27 doses of ketamine outside of his prescribed therapy in his final 3 days, and it was an unsupervised dose that killed him. To some, even the idea of an addict taking ketamine to help solve their addiction problems might sound shocking.
The psychological benefit of IV ketamine infusion done the way we do it, it's significant.
At his clinic in California, Dr. Austin Harris prescribes ketamine for mood disorders, chronic pain, as well as those in recovery from drug or alcohol abuse, like patient Ashley McGee.
I've had enough experience and decades of being addicted to drugs and alcohol and traumas and trying different things. When I came out of that infusion, I was like, wait a minute, I didn't have the shakes, I didn't have the cravings.
It's really important to understand the details. Matthew Perry was using it illegally, right? So he wasn't prescribed ketamine. He was being illegally sold ketamine on the black market. Just the fact that a doctor happened to be one of several people that was illegally selling it to him should not be confused with the appropriate legal utilization of ketamine. He was being injected by a friend at 10 times the therapeutic dose of ketamine while on benzodiazepines, while on opiates, in his hot tub by himself.
Could this have genuinely helped someone like Matthew Perry?
Well,
was the problem that it was cowboys effectively just dishing it out rather than using it?
Correct, and it wasn't even just, it wasn't even like this was a legal at-home program, which again, I strongly disagree with also. But this was illegal, right? This was not a doctor prescribing him. He was literally just being sold ketamine on the black market, not prescribed, under the table, and probably massively overcharging someone who was vulnerable. It's absolutely abominable. It should never happen.
All 5 defendants have agreed to plead guilty in exchange for their cooperation. The primary targets of prosecutors have been the so-called ketamine queen Jasveen Sangha and this doctor, Salvador Plasencia, who had also provided ketamine illegally to Perry and apparently sought to be his regular supplier. Writing to a go-between in a text exchange released by prosecutors, I wonder how much this moron will pay. All 5 face separate sentencing hearings, bringing to a close the criminal investigation into the circumstances surrounding Perry's death, an investigation that has exposed Hollywood's hidden ecosystem, one where money talks and where, in the case of Matthew Perry, there proved to be no shortage of people happy to part him from his money without a second thought for the consequences. Katie Spencer, Sky News.